do believe that is live on all platforms. Let's just verify. Welcome one, welcome all. Here because I'm about to upload a video. It's going to be pretty controversial. Um, but I feel like it needs to be made. I just had a conversation with a sibling. Um, he was under the belief that hormone blockers for children is a form of child abuse. He was asking me, "Would you are you okay with giving uh, kids 7, 8 years old hormone blockers, puberty blockers? It's like something on the rise. There have been laws passed that um, take children out of the homes of parents who don't want them to get a hormone blocker. Um, like in Washington, you could have your kid taken away. It was actually a kid who was taken away from their family because they didn't allow them to get a hormone therapy that the kid wanted to get. And he was under the belief that if you deny or if you give your kids these hormone blockers, that's a form of child abuse. I told him I think it's child abuse if you wait till they're 7. Because I mean, everybody knows what they want by the time they're 5. When I was 5 years old, I sexually identified as a dinosaur. I would have did anything in my power to become a dinosaur. I watched Jurassic Park just like many of you, and I saw like when they pulled the DNA out of those mosquitoes, and I wanted them to inject that into me so I could become a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Or I'd even settle for a brontosaurus or something like that. um, and I knew I was dead set on becoming a dinosaur. If I would have had laws like this passed, that would have helped enable my transition into a dinosaur. By this point in my life, I'd probably be about 70, 80 feet tall. um, I'd be, at best a carnivorous beast. Littler arms, yes, but I would have mechanisms to fight back because we see the robots with guns being presented that are going to be policing us. If I were to transition to a dinosaur, um, who knows? I would be able to fight back. Now I'm just a silly human, cisgendered, biological male. I'm disgusting. Um, so I just wish laws like this existed a long time ago. I'm envious of the youth of today. To be able to transition to what you want to be at such a young age. Because by the time you're 5 years old, you got life figured out. Um, so no, it's not child abuse, if you ask me. Um, Not true. I don't agree. You don't agree with what? You don't think people should be able to transition to dinosaurs? You bigot. What kind of shit is that? Are you reptilophobic? That's just you're a hate monger. I don't agree. Not true. What? Not true? Not true. People shouldn't be able to transition to dinosaurs. What kind of audience is this? I thought you guys would be more open minded. Yes. Thank you. Finally. LMFAO. Uh, you don't know what you want sexually at 5. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. When I was 5, I wanted to fuck a Muppet. I would have transitioned to a Muppet, some kind of a surgery where they put felt all over my skin to replace my skin with some felt material, and someone stick their hand up my ass, and then I can like fuck Miss Piggy. That was like another goal. It was maybe like a Muppet dinosaur. Like we can mix it in together. But like at 5 years old, you already know what you want. Perfect time because puberty hasn't hit. You haven't been flooded with all those hormones. Um, And no, no, I do. I might be pulling your leg just a little bit. I don't. I think it's completely unhealthy. I think the people, the most confused people I met in my lifetime was when I went back to school, and it's like a group of kids, 20ish, youngish 20s, who grew up in this shit. You know, um, like one of my teachers, God bless her soul, starts off pretty much every class with 10 minutes, 20 minutes going around the class asking your name and your pronouns. And it's just like your name, I understand that could be hard to remember, but pronouns, it's multiple kids. One kid in particular changed their pronouns like 5 times in 1 quarter. 5 fucking times. Went from he, him to he, they to they, she, and now it's just she, her, and it's just like I don't want to have to keep up with the melodrama of your life while you go through this shit figuring it out. I mean, like I think we need to stop being hyper focused on sex. Like that should be something that like that your partner gives a shit about because that's the person you're gonna be with sexually. Outside of that, like I don't know why I need to be privy to all of this shit. Your pronouns are irrelevant to me. What I care more about is your verbs. I mean, I say my pronouns are thou and thine. I'm filled with a love divine. I love y'all regardless of how you identify. Some of my heroes are transgender. I mean, Chelsea Manning exposed the government, exposed, like the double taps that they were doing with the drone operators, where they would kill innocent people, circle back around, then kill the first responders who are trying to help them. Like that is I'll call you whatever the fuck you want if you do something like that because she ended up getting tortured for that shit. um that being said, there are some atrocious transgender people. Like look at fucking um Caitlyn Jenner. Caitlyn Jenner, just a rich white man who decided they wanted to be uh, um, a downtrodden member of society. So and came out as a woman, got Woman of the Year, is against gay marriage. So I mean, it's just like you think they give a shit about like the shit that like most gay people care about, but they could be just passing along Republican ideas, just like the Democrats, um, and just like just trying to oppress people with policy, and they have like the political power and the finances to do it. So um, yeah, it's just I'm not a fan. Like I said, I judge everybody on a case by case basis. Like it's not one group of people who um, I think is above criticism. It's not any group of people who I would persecute just because they are that particular way. Like if it's something outside of your control, I'm not going to judge you on it. I'm just going to like if you have these attributes and you're a good person, I'll treat you like a good person, right? If you're an asshole who's trying to oppress people, steal their rights, censor people, I'm going to judge you for that. Um, so it's just like this is like it's like a protected class. I look at it kind of like um, when South Africa was in shambles, they had the boycott divestment process going on. Like the world spotlight was on them, and everyone was saying that apartheid was bad. We need to do something about it. A bunch of the apartheid creators, the people who are benefiting off of that system, um, they converted to Judaism and moved to Israel. And then we're surprised that Israel has an apartheid system. It's the same people who created that. They decided they wanted to be um, in the persecuted class, or the above reproach, the people who you can't criticize because they're like, oh, they had it so hard, but it's just like they're making life hard for the Palestinians. They're robbing them. They're doing all this atrocious shit, and now you can't say anything about it because now that they're converted to Judaism. You know, it's just there's a lot of despicable people who need to be criticized, but then they put all of their identity into one facet that they say you know you can't. It's a third rail. You can't touch it. Um, and then now it's just like like they're programming kids. Like I said, the school I went to, we started every class. What are your names? What are your pronouns? Right? And this is like the kids who were most fucked up. They were in grade school. They were in high school, learning this shit. Um, and it's just like before they even hit puberty. What are your pronouns? What are you into? Boys or girls? Like I don't know. I'm into Legos. Okay, well you're not into the opposite sex, obviously. So why don't you just have some gender hormone surgery, some hormone repressant pills or whatever? And it's just like it's just kind of concerning, kind of very concerning. No, you don't. Your disgusting beliefs are not everyone else's. Okay, is this about the dinosaurs? Um, you don't know anything. Five LMFAO. You don't know what sexuality it is at five. You don't know anything at five. Okay, I got you. Here's the reality: it's nobody's responsibility to validate people's delusions or fantasies. Um. Well, I mean, I just think like what we are spending our intellectual prowess on um, is hormone therapy. You know, other countries, their primary focus is curing cancer, um, getting cheap, free insulin into the hands of people who need it. Um, it's just kind of backwards. Like there's so many things we could be doing. Right now, we have a pharmaceutical industry built on petrochemicals, in large part due to the Rockefeller influence. Um, they wanted medicines that could be easily patented. If we went to more nature-based medicines, that would be harder to patent, but it would be more effective. Because a good amount of the stuff that ails you could be cured with stuff that grows on this planet, right? Um, but instead, we have petrochemicals. We have we'll douse you with dangerous radiation. So a lot of people they end up going broke trying to cure cancer with radiation. They go broke before dying from it. And it seems like that's the plan, because both my parents they were working at military bases, knowingly poisoning them. They were being exposed to all these dangerous chemicals. The air, the water, the soil was all full of carcinogens. Um, then when they went to the doctors with their cancers, both of them were turned away multiple times until the cancer metastasized. Then they finally did a test that proved that they had cancer, but it was too late for them to do anything. I mean, we tried to treat my mom with various radiation therapies and whatnot, but that shit was expensive as a motherfucker, ineffective. It ended up making her suffer more before she died, and it seems like that shit is by design. And both of them they went to Kaiser. That was like the insurance that they got. Kaiser. I just associate that with World War II, because the Nazi doctors they'd be like, send him to the Kaiser, and then they do the Sig Heil. They send you off to to this Kaiser fella, and you'll never be seen alive again. Um, and it's just like that's our medical system. And same with these hormone blocking therapies. This is the stuff they push on kids. This is the stuff they push on our society. Meanwhile, we got all these other ailments. We just got a bunch of toxins dumped in the water. Cancer rates are going up. We're not focused on curing cancer. Matter of fact, it was an employee evaluation I did recently where a woman was complaining about breaking her ankle. She thinks she had a stroke. She was being kicked out of the hospital, right? And then how did she get dealt with? You know, because she looked homeless. She had, I mean, she pretty much was homeless. She had her house with her, all this shit with her. Cops show up, treat her like shit, abuse her, put her in the back of a squad car on her belly. She's got fluid in her lungs. She ended up dying on the way um, to the police station. She should have been like taken to the hospital, but they don't give a shit. You know, when you live in a police state, you know everything gets dealt with a crooked cop who doesn't give a fuck about you. Your Medicare, your medical providers don't give a fuck about you. That's why they're pushing this child abuse on people. Exactly. Why the hyper focus on dismantling traditional gender roles? Is to weaken and dismantle society while saving the infrastructure, subversion, takeover 101. Well, the gender roles, when it comes to the roles of genders, I mean, I think anyone should be able to define their own fucking role. You know, I would never want to limit any particular gender to any particular role. You know, like you do what you, I mean, if it, you know, like, I guess you can say the man is going to be the father, the woman is going to be the mother, because you know the only people who can carry a baby to term is the mother. Um, but yeah, you know, like when it comes to like, you know, if a woman wants to be a construction worker, you know, and she has the skills, or you know, she's willing to invest in acquiring the skills to do it, you know, have at it. You know, do what you do. I'm not gonna knock a pork chop off your plate if you don't knock one off of mine, even though I'm not into the meats, vegetarian and whatnot. But you know, and plus like that's also one of my gripes with the whole obsession with the transgender stuff. Like you know, like my girl's friend wanted to go to a drag show for her birthday, right? And this I just don't get the appeal of it. Because it's just like them lip syncing songs. But it's like it's a bunch of guys wearing a fuckload of makeup. I don't like women who wear makeup, right? My girl, like one of the things that stood out was like she didn't have any makeup, all natural, right? I hate the insecurities that get beaten into women that make them feel they need that shit. You know, because in the past I've been with women who constantly needed makeup, and then they would complain about their skin breaking out because of the makeup, which will require them to need more makeup. So it's just like I just eliminate this process, eliminate this industry. You know, like just eat healthier. Your skin will naturally glow. You don't need all this extra shit. But now instead of like saying, okay, women, y'all don't need makeup. You know, let's go to a more natural way of being. Now we're saying, okay, boys, you need makeup now. So it's like I don't know. I'm not saying that this is a big conspiracy by the makeup companies, but I wouldn't be surprised if they had something to do with it. But yeah, yeah, and it's just like yeah, and it's just you know their uh, emphasis on being a woman comes with all these um, ideals for what a woman should be, which I don't think that should be. You know, I don't think we should be viewing women in these terms. Like they shouldn't feel the need to have all of this unnecessary shit. But uh, um, you know, that's like another thing. But I you know, it was um, I mean, you know, when I talk to most people, um, there is a common sense element where people can understand. You know, like you shouldn't be giving children hormone blockers or gender reassignment surgeries. However, I do also have like teachers who are saying that there's this um, all the you know they're saying there's a bunch of anti-trans laws being passed. And I hear this when I know that there were just laws passed in Washington where if your kid wants to transition to another gender and you don't want them to, because let's say you're only 7 years old, you don't know what the fuck you want. How about we wait until you're 18, till you're old enough to vote, old enough to get a pack of cigarettes, or at least old enough to drink, or something. No, but if your kid knows better at 7 or 8, uh, they could be taken out of your custody, and you can have no say in the matter. Your kid is like, I'm 8, it's my choice, and they get these drugs that ruin them if they grow up. They start to hit puberty and realize, oh shit, I am into the opposite sex. It's just kind of maddening, and I think that's a recipe for disaster. Um, because there was like it was like a clip I used in the upcoming video where parents lost custody of their child because they didn't let them transition, and that's concerning. That is hella fucking concerning. Because I've had experience with, like, kids who are just my girls. One of my girls' goddaughters was uh, convinced she was a lesbian, like last year. Just convinced. Then she was just like, I'm poly, I'm bi, I'm this, and now she's just firmly into guys. Um, as she enters into the puberty era. And it's just like, why? What, like, she was making a big stink and making a big fuss of it, like, like, I'm a lesbian. It's like, I should know what the fuck you're into, period. Why are you making this known? Like, why is that such a big fucking part of your life where you have to, like, proclaim it to everyone? It seems like you're just putting it out there for anybody, or like you're just being brought up around these people who are obsessed with sex. Like where this is where all you talk about, like, and that's like, one of the concerns I have, like, with the way one of my teachers who was obsessing over starting the class off with what are your pronouns, and it's just like, it's just kind of silly to me. Like I said, do you? I'm not gonna knock it. I'm just gonna go off of your verbs, not your pronouns. But just too focused on all the wrong shit. People getting lost in the sauce. Um, how you doing anyway? And what's new in the pipeline? I watched all your old videos on YouTube before YouTube went all wacko on your channel. Well, yeah, I brought back old character to give a new series. So because YouTube, I've been getting censored, not just on YouTube, but YouTube they took down 4 of my channels, so it's just like I really don't fuck with them. However, like, really controversial stuff is hard to get my point across, so I brought back old character Cletus to um, uh, just kind of toe the line for the censoring websites, um, but kind of ironically. So he would take the position opposite of mine, and um, well, the it's like a racist redneck who's um, uh, all about gender reassignment surgery, especially for colored people. Um, so yeah, I mean, I started that. It's woke redneck. It's over on NatesVlogs.net, but I upload through Rumble.com. And yeah, I'm still doing employee evaluations, rewinds. But when it comes to, like, a lot of the stuff I want to touch on, it is definitely the third rail. So, like, censoring websites, I mean, you won't see any of it over here. So I got to upload to NatesVlogs.net. Um, so yeah, I usually do these live shows to let you know I got other content over there I'd like you to check out. And yeah, I'm uploading old stuff, new stuff, all that stuff. And yeah, and I was just watching. It was the gentleman who got arrested for weaponizing free speech on he was a part of the Uhuru movement. He created it. Yeah, he had an interview with Kim Iverson, and he was speaking about how he was one of the working with SNCC. And before I even heard about that, like beginning of this school, well, not this school semester, was when I first started going to the school I'm at now. I started coordinating, trying to bring SNCC back. So it's like, yeah, I got the SNCC Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. Um, yeah, just trying to build mechanisms to fight back the entities that are censoring me, making the world a worse place. Um, and then, as a part of this whole journey, I got invited to the dean's list for my exceptional grades and whatnot. So yeah, and then the groups I'm in, they've been pushing me towards getting into teaching, which is something I never thought I'd do. Um, but experiencing my teacher who's you know just going down the wrong way, I definitely feel like kids probably need a counter to the bullshit. So I mean, I'm definitely considering it. However, I had to go to a protest to help raise the teachers' wages because they're fighting tooth and nail to prevent the teachers from getting a cost of living increase. So it's like if I do, I mean, if I go into teachers, going to becoming a teacher, I have to do it with eyes wide open, knowing that the entities that censored me, that censored. I mean, I got in the theater. My play was censored by uh, both theaters I worked for took money from Bill Gates. The play I wrote, the director ended up cutting controversial parts out of the play. So it's just like the school I would work at would be getting the same funding. So it's just like I'll have to go into a wise with eyes wide open, knowing uh, that well, I mean, I guess it's wherever I go. It's going to be similar funding. We need to do away with corporations in general, because it's just like I just look at it like it's disgusting. Because how do people like Bill Gates get all this money to control schools, control social media, control theaters, control any outlet where you can get information out to people? He gets this money through welfare, right? Welfare that should be going directly to the school, should be like going directly to the social media. I mean, because before YouTube was started or Google was started by government funding at the Bill and Melinda Gates um, branch of Stanford. So it's just like uh, we ended up funding that directly with our money, and then he built people like Bill Gates and these other billionaires who get all this government this corporate welfare. They ended up just like saying, okay, I'll fund it with my welfare check, as long as they abide by my guidelines, my criteria for receiving the funding. And we should be like, no, you're cut off. Like we need to set hard limits for these welfare checks. If you get like $1 billion contract and you already have $1 billion, like let's like because this is more common than you might know. So like companies like Google, Microsoft, they work with the Department of Defense, Department of War, right? So all of that Chat GPT and all that shit, that's like that's being weaponized against you. Saying it's based in the same city where they have killer robots. San Francisco, first city to legalize killer robots. But but all that shit is being weaponized to you, against you. And all the people who run this shit, they have more money than they could ever spend, and they continue getting $1 billion contracts. Like they get a $10 billion contract from the Pentagon, another umpteen billion from the CIA, whatever. And it's just like if you already have more money than you can spend, and you get like another $10 billion, that's fraud. You're defrauding the taxpayers. Like they need to be locked up. Because what are they really doing with that money? They're buying influence. They got lobbyists. If you're a company and you got a lobbyist, you're working with the government, uh, um, and you're getting all this funding. That's like evidence of fascism. Lock them up. We hated. That's why we hated Hitler. We hated Mussolini. You know, like they were fascists. Mussolini said fascism is when the government and corporations come together. That is every corporation. So it's just like we repurpose all of that funding for worker-owned co-ops. Um, but yeah, right now it's just all that funding is being used to control every outlet of information. So wherever I go, if I want to like raise awareness to like the fucked up shit going on, it's like the same people who could silence me. And yeah, and that's like everybody should be concerned about that shit. Yeah, you should have never been censored by YouTube. That was so frustrating because you had a ton of subs, and what they did to you and your business was completely out of touch. Yeah, yeah. But that's how they control you financially. If you say something um, that cuts against the grain, they want to be able to just cut your funding. That's why you're seeing this push for central digital currency. So like like when with the Canadians, um, when they started like the trucker movement, they showed what they showed their hand. They want to be able to like cut your funding, be like, okay, you speak out against the government, we'll take your money, right? And then that's what they're setting it up to be able to do it out here. I mean, they already did it to me. They want to do it to you. They want to do it to everybody. That's why we need to make us think about it. They want you to have nothing and be happy. Hey, Nate, good to see you on YouTube. Hope you are well. Well, I hope to see you on Rumble or NatesVlogs.net. But yeah, this is a means to an end because it's one of my, I mean, sadly, it's still one of my biggest platforms, even though it was my smallest YouTube channel. I remember watching you like 10 years ago with employee evaluations and some Hellraiser movie rundown or something. Still got those. NatesVlogs.net if you want to see the Hellraiser rewinds as well as other stuff. Hey Nate, it's cool to see you and be able to hear what's on your mind. Keep these videos coming. I wish I I wish I could upload maybe a little more often, maybe every 3 days. So, anyways, love your content. Ooh, fudge sickle. Sorry, I got this. Oh man. Oh shite. 1 second. Um. I gotta. There we go. Fingers crossed that works. But anyways, yeah, one of my cameras went down, and let's see. Um, yeah, and this is like the third week in a row. I almost missed this week because I ended up going to the lake. But I'm trying to make Saturday my day to do a live stream. I know I used to do them Monday through Friday, but I've been busy with a lot of shit, and I got to get caught up on physics. Um, so yeah, but I'm gonna try to make this a regular thing, and I will be uploading a new video on NatesVlogs.net as well as some older ones. So follow there. It'll be over 3 videos this week. Okay. Um, you'll be a great teacher, homie. Well, I appreciate that. Um, I like to hope so. I mean, I definitely I can appreciate good teachers. I had like a total of 3 teachers, 3 good teachers at my K through 12 schooling experience. And yeah, I know they're hard to find, but when you come across one, they are impactful, and I realized what made them impactful for me, and I would just try to be that. that education specialist for my students, as well as, like I said, I definitely got some. I even want to say my teacher who's obsessed with the pronouns is like a bad teacher, but man, she is just not helping the cause. It's just I would do everything differently, pretty much. And yeah, so good. Hey Nate, homie, what it do? Hey Nate, curious to hear your thoughts on the inflation, the current status and position of the U.S. dollar. Also, where you see things headed for the next 7 years. Is that cool, brother? Well, inflation is a simple equation. What happens when you give the richest people in the world, who have more money than they could ever spend, trillions of dollars extra? I'll tell you what happens. The currency that you're doing this in will become worthless because they won't spend it, right? And then the people at the bottom who need the money, they're not having it. So you don't have a velocity in your currency. It's not really moving, right? So you see like corporations, they could do leverage buyouts of property where they use the value of the property as a down payment to buy that property. And these are the richest people in the world. They don't want to put up any of their own fucking money, right? And then they're so they can buy these properties for ridiculous amounts of money, artificially raising the prices, keeping the property out of the people who need it, out of their hands. Um, so yeah, like right now we have more empty houses than we have homeless people, but we got a fuckload of homeless people, and they're only the numbers are only going up. And why is this? Is because we have the greediest people in the fucking world. They're in the ear of the corrupted, most corrupted government of the world, um, and they're doing their bidding, right? So it's just like yeah, your currency is going to be devalued. It's a We're in a fire economy. The fire economy is a sign that your economy is going to be burnt down. And how do you know you're in a fire economy? Is when you don't make anything, when all of the people who are making money in your economy are in finance, insurance, and real estate. Fire. You're on fire because nothing is being created, right? It's just money being moved around. Um, what we should have did in 2008 and shit really before 2008 is locked up all of the people who were responsible for the subprime mortgage scandal, right? We should have privatized those banks because right now the banks are predatory. They own the politicians. They commit criminal acts, and they're above the law. They're too big to fail. They're too big to fail. They're too big to be private. Like North Dakota, they have a public bank. They didn't have the same issues we had. Um, and at the end of the year, all of the bank's profits just get given to the state. They're not trying to keep all those profits for themselves. Yes, I'm sure there's been corruption, or forces corrupting that bank. Um, but yeah, like we need. That's because they don't have anybody else. Like they should be the example, the shining example, where other states are becoming public banks, and then we start running the den of viperous thieves out of business. Um, so I mean, we're going to see bigger and bigger banks going bust, um, because they're criminals, um, and they're going to continue to make dangerous bets. They're going to continue looking for your pension, your retirement, and they're going to put it in stocks that they know are going to crash, and they're going to have you broke. Um, unless we bring them to justice, which needs to happen. Come here, come the Batman. What up, Nate? Yeah, just enjoying the beautiful day. Had to come in and do a live. I'm trying to do this every Saturday, and I appreciate you showing up. Oh yeah, and where do you see things headed in the next 7 years? Well, if Klaus Schwab gets his dream, you will have nothing and you will be happy. But I like to upset psychopaths. I like to see them their dreams fall apart. Um, I know he has a lot of power. He's buddy buddy with the president. I mean, and leaders of other countries like Justin Trudeau. Um, but and I know also know they just had a World Economic Forum puppet put on as CEO of Twitter, so that should be concerning. Um, but like I said, all of this money that they have is your money. I'm counting on you guys to wake up and just say the game is rigged. I'm not playing, and just withdraw all your funds. That's why I put together a musical on Revolution, called it Revolution the Musical. Uh, I like to take credit for the revolution going on in France. Um, that's like what I want to see in America, because they ended up like they came together with the people who they may have issues with, but they started like raiding black rock buildings. They started like going in there with pitchforks and torches. Start making them feel the fear of the people, um, and let them know that their time is up, and it's continuing. It's like months and months, and I mean really years, because when you talk about the Gilets Jaunes movement, that was like postponed a little bit because of the pandemic. Um, Same with America. We had I was organizing with groups. We were supposed to be doing a continued protest. It was like 300 and something cities that were participating, and I was looking forward to like doing these monthly protests. Then like this was like 2019 when it was like all coming to fruition, and then somehow it was just a pandemic came along and we just all had to go home. Then the groups I was organizing with, one of them made it mandatory. You have to show up with your proof of vaccination if you want to protest. And it's just like we need to be protesting this shit, but they were co-opted by these forces. Same shit. I mean, I made a video because I was being courted by one of these organizations, um, and I was mad concerned because one of the dudes who my point in, he was the first person I was um, introduced to. He was a professor, the professor at my school. It was his son, and he was telling me their agenda. He's like, our the top three things we were focused on last quarter were COVID vaccines, monkeypox vaccines, and ending child vaping. I'm like, okay, I guess I don't want children to vape, but what the fuck? You're worried about vaccines when like we got all this poverty, all this struggle? Y'all supposed to be like a um, uh, grassroots organization, focused on helping people, like everyday people, and then like they were recently exposed for taking money from Pfizer, and it was like obvious when he told me their agenda, what they were all about, and then they had like it was like they had a booster party where they were trying to get people to get boosted and vaxxed. And I was just like, this is just like some weird shit. We got all this homelessness, all this poverty around us, and this is what y'all are spending all this money on. And it's because, like, yeah, they're taking money from all the worst of the worst people. Um, but yeah, all the shit, the major mechanisms to fight back get co-opted by corporate money. And it's just shameful for me because I'm like, I understand, like, yeah, you get like a big enough check, you want to take it, but then you let them set the agenda. You should be able to be like, okay, thank you for giving us the tax money you stole from us back, but we're going to continue to fight corporations like you because you shouldn't have that much power. You know, what is it that hard to do? You know, I've taken money from sponsors, and then I spoke out against them because their shit broke. Right? I don't let them like stifle me. I mean, well, I say that I did. Uh, it was a company that got bought up by Google, and they made it so that for me to get paid, I had to get approval from the sponsor. Um, and if I said anything critiquing them, they made me take that shit off. So I ended up like it was a few times where I was like late for rent. So I ended up posting the critique free video. But then as soon as I got my paycheck, I ended up taking that shit down. And then they frowned on that shit. But then they ended up going under anyway. So I'm just like I just don't understand how people just like march in lockstep with this program, especially like you got to be experiencing this shit like me. Like you got to know someone who was adversely affected by the shit that you're pushing. I had a cousin in her 30s who had a stroke after getting one of those deadly shots. Obviously didn't watch my videos. I mean, maybe she couldn't watch my videos because my shit is censored up and down all social media. But and then I had another sibling who started having heart issues after it, and it's just like it's concerning. How do y'all motherfuckers not catching on? I miss Nate's vlogs. Waka waka wan. Well, yeah, thank you. I don't know what that last part means. I didn't know about the rich 1% actually not spending the money they have accumulated through nefarious acts. But that's actually makes a lot of sense. Thanks for your perspective, brother. I mean, when you okay, let's just make this clear. Let's just do some maths, right? $10 million, you get $10 million. That's a $500,000 on interest alone. You should be able to live off of that, right? Especially if it's welfare money. If you're depending on government subsidies to make you a billionaire, right? That should be highly illegal. That's welfare fraud to the max, right? If you get like a basic job, you make like over $13 a year. Like you'll be lucky if you can get food, right? But you got billionaires, people who make umpteen $1 billion completely off of other people's tax money, and then they don't pay taxes. They go above and beyond to avoid paying taxes. Like they'll hide their money in some Jeffrey Epstein tax haven in another country, paying another country more taxes than their home country, which gives them all the money to hide from the IRS. And it's just like these motherfuckers like that's like it's tax fraud on another level. But it's understandable because I got like a video just going into this a little bit deeper. But the corporation was created by Europeans, primarily London. London is itself a corporation, and we think we had like independence, but like India, they had the world's largest corporation based out of there. Um, I mean, based out of London, but it was running in India. The East India Company, and they're responsible for killing over 100 million Indians in a 40-year span. They created the slavery trade as we know it, and yeah, and then like now all of the biggest corporations are based in America, right? So the corporation is like it's a tool of colonial power, because if you think corporations aren't bigger than our government, aren't more powerful than our government, then you don't know how our government operates. It's like uh, um, all of our regulatory bodies have been captured by corporations. Um, like we could have our water poisoned by rail companies that have no accountability after killing millions of people or thousands of people, or I mean, definitely millions of people if you consider the corporations of war, Raytheon, Boeing, all these motherfuckers that like they kill people regularly, and they get guaranteed money through the government, and then they avoid taxes by just going to the new Jeffrey Epstein Island. Um, that shit needs to be nipped in the bud. It's crazy to say, but if we're being real and honest, this world has really turned into a James Bond meets Captain Planet supervillain world. A bunch of hoggish greedlies. Yeah, and it's just like, yeah, we need a I personally just I would just love to see these motherfuckers brought to justice. I'm not one of those let's get the guillotine, and that's the sad thing because whenever I go to like one of the actual grassroots um people meetings, I'm like one of the only people who doesn't want to get the guillotine out. So I think when we start actually bringing the people to justice, everybody's just going to want to cut their heads off. I just always pitch the idea. It's a show I want to do where we take like former billionaires after like letting them sit in one of the prisons that they were profiting off of like I'm not saying we continue for profit prisons, but we could have a for profit prison system uh, in place for like the people who are benefiting from it directly. And then like we make all of the prison guards like people who are wrongfully arrested. Like if you did 15 years and you got raped multiple times for drugs like marijuana or something, yeah, you could be the prison guard there, overseeing the people who created the policy that got you locked up for that bullshit. Um, but yeah, we have the billionaires in a system like that, in a penal system like that. Then they get released, and we gotta videotape them all the time. But so we turn that into like a reality TV show where because we got to make sure that they don't go into like their secret stash of umpteen $1 billion and then like skate off to some other country. So we film them, like make sure they're in poverty, make sure their accounts has nothing. They have to, when they get out of there, they have to make what their lowest paid worker made. So like they're impoverished like a motherfucker. We film them getting their first overdraft fees, struggling, and then when we do it correctly, we're going to have to take away anything that they can use for suicide because they're not strong enough to survive poverty. That's my belief, and I like to see it put into play. Um, but like I said, most people they just start talking about guillotines. We gotta kill them, corporal punishment. Um, so I don't know. I'm doubtful it can happen, but I know justice is needed. Whatever happens, I'm down to make it a democratic process. Like we could have it. We could like what do we do with this war criminal? And we could turn it into like American Idol style, where people like call in or text, like a TV show, lynch them, do whatever. Well, I just want, it's got to be democracy, so I can actually experience democracy in my lifetime because I've never seen it. Um, People may think we can't do anything at this point, but you are correct. If we withdraw the money we have the we have in the system, it will make an impact over time, of course. There will be growing pains, but that is where strength comes in. I agree that death would be a gift to them. Their pain must be long and suffering, mentally on par with what we all have experienced as a society. Welcome to the 99% experience. I like your idea. Well, yeah, I mean, um, I'm going to do a little spoiler. If you haven't finished Walking Dead, they have a character, Negan. He's like a just disgusting person. When he gets introduced, like all of their villains, it's just like they always have a comeuppance that usually is in violence. Um, with Negan, they were, that's when they started like having these existential questions being asked, like what kind of society do we want to be? And even though he did all this gruesome shit, they decided to keep him alive, keep him in prison. And he never thought he would change. You know, he was so right in his mind, but you know, they wanted to keep him alive to show that they can build the society um, that he thought was impossible. And then they built it, and then you know they had their issues. He ended up getting out, and then he ended up like believing in it himself, fighting to maintain it, even if he's at the bottom rung of that society. He'd rather be the low man on the totem pole in a society with justice than the top dog in you know that violent dog eat dog society where you know like anybody can punch your ticket at any moment for dumb shit. Um, and I think we just need to, you know, transition to that better world. And yeah, you know, and plus, like, you know, I want to keep the billionaires alive because I want them to be locked up in a position where I can just go up and just like tell them like you ain't shit. You thought like you thought you should be respected, motherfucker. You on sex trafficking children? What kind of shit? What kind of disgusting, despicable motherfucker are you? And just like, I'm not saying I would definitely want to hurt anybody, but I'd like the ability to spit in their general direction and just show like all kinds of casual disrespect to them, you know. And they got to be alive for that. Um. So yeah. Anyways, I didn't realize how late it was getting, but I definitely love y'all. I'm gonna be uploading. I'm from Canada, trying to run CDBC, and also bank account was banned for 2 weeks for donating to the trucker convoy. Yeah, that's a shame. And you know the funny thing, I made a video as soon as like that trucker convoy started kicking off. Then I started getting like, you know, because I was showing support. I started getting comments from people who never commented before. It was like, oh man, you used to be cool, but now you're with these racist. These truckers are racist Nazi. I'm like, I've never seen this person comment before, and they only comment to tell me I started sucking right when I started like supporting this. But then it's just kind of like a trend because I don't believe they were actual viewers. I think that's like mechanisms of control by social media because those also ended up getting censored. Those channels where I posted all that shit. But it's just like, you know, they made it seem like if you spoke out against Justin Trudeau, the dude who dressed up in blackface, and you start calling everybody else racist, tool of the World Economic Forum, you speak up against him, you're the idiot because he's fighting racism. Wrong answer. I just who's actually buying that? It's just like when people say, "Oh, if you don't," Joe Biden said, "If you don't vote for me, you're not black." It's just like I am black. I'm not voting for you because like you give eulogies at Klan members. You hang out with the Grand Cyclops of the Ku Klux Klan. You created the 1994 crime bill that locked up millions of colored people. Like you said, you don't want your children to live in a integrated jungle. He's a despicable person, but he thinks he's better than Trump. I didn't vote for Trump either, but it's just like they make it seem like you're not down with these two Klansmen. You're the bad guy. It's like no, I can count above two. I can count to three. I mean, when Biden ran, I didn't even want to fuck with the Green Party because what's his name, Howie, whatever. He was like pro war, pro Syria war. I think they CIA infiltrated the Green Party, but if it was Jill Stein, I'm all about that. Um, can we start a GoFundMe to make more content after being censored on YouTube? Yes, you can send me more money. You don't got to do GoFundMe. I'm Nateflix funds on Cash App. Oh, I got 24 seconds. So yeah, I gotta go. I'm about to uh, be kicked off on Instagram. So yeah, um, yeah, but yeah, you could. I'm Nateflix on PayPal, and every donation I get, I mean, I always do a live when I get a good sized donation. So feel free to make one. And Instagram's down. That was a great stream, brother. Thanks for this. I appreciate your time, your thoughts, and your knowledge. Brian Storm, thanks me. Mean a lot. Help us stay focused. Well, glad to help. It's easy to get sent off the rails in this crazy world. Thank you for the spaces and the moments, bro. Well, I'm glad to help. And Netflix.net, I provide you information for your convenience. I'm also in syndication. So check that out. And Rumble.com is where I upload through.